everybody. Thanks for hanging in there with us. I'm going to call the September meeting of the school board to order. So we're going to stand up, and as I said earlier, if you were not a student here at the time, if you're a student and you feel so inclined, please come forward. We'd like for you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance as we stand. So come along, my kids.
I'll stand in the middle with you. Is that going to make you feel better? Does that make you feel better? Okay, come on up. Act like you like me. You don't know who I am.
We appreciate your service, Dr. Hester.
Oh,
Hey!
nice.
I'll pay you later.
Okay, so guys,
Are
we're
we
going
ready?
to
Here's our flag. Oh, I appreciate it. Right here. Are we ready to go? All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. Here you go, guys. High five. Don't leave me hanging here. Don't leave me hanging. Don't leave me hanging.
Good job, buddy. Good job.
Good job.
Good job, y'all.
Thank you all very, very much. So we've had a chance to look at the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections we need to make to the agenda?
No.
If not, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as it stands?
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda's approved. All right, the fun stuff. And what I think 90% of the people are here for, recognitions and presentations. So I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Hester to begin those.
Okay, I believe the first things we're going to do today is a recognition of our custodians and maintenance crew and those who are working with them. And the reason why, anybody know what happens on October 2nd? Good, okay. National Custodians Day. And so we will have had our next school board meeting after that. So I wanted to take the opportunity to be able to celebrate our custodians, but also in conjunction with our maintenance workers because of the hard work that they do to get us going and ready for the school year. So we wanted to be able to do that. And so the first group I'm going to recognize is from Rockfish River Elementary School. So the first individual is David Johnson. I see you. So Ms. Lopez is going to take our picture, so you're going to have to, kind of withstand that a little bit. So. Thank you so much. Yes. Yay, David. All right, next up, David Lane. Is David Lane able to make it? Okay, and could also actually be working that shift right now, so, oh gosh, sorry. We'll make that delivery. All right, Carla Thompson.
Also working.
Also working, oh my gosh, okay. So, we'll make sure we do stop by and get their picture taken, because what we're going to do is make sure we celebrate them come October, just like we'll try to do with all of our staff. All right, next up, we have Ty River Elementary School, Ms. Sandra Wells. Kenny Lawhorn. Yeah. All right, okay. Good. I hope so, because I hate getting that wrong. Thank you so much. Kenny Grubb. Isaiah Wood. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, from Nelson County, or Nelson Middle School, sorry, Mr. Stephen Washington. not here today? Okay. Oh, that's right. Yep. Teresa Ragland. Okay. Some of these individuals are having to work a little extra, so I appreciate that. Virginia C. Okay. Pam Lynchford. Middle school. Savannah Ragland, I'm pretty sure, is not able to make it today. Yes, okay. And moving on to the high school, maybe we'll have a little bit better batting percentage here. Kathleen Hubbard. I know I Brandon Bailey. Mr. Martins, and you aren't able to make it this evening? Oh, here he is. Able to make it tonight, Gordon? No, he wasn't? Okay. All right. Mr. Gordon Wiley. All right. And so I want to give another round of applause for our custodial crew. So thank you. I also want to recognize our maintenance crew, the small but mighty group. We appreciate it. First up is Buddy Altizer. Thank you. I don't think Mr. Marvin Martin was able to make it this evening, but I just want to say thank you very much for him as well. Robert Hanson, was he able to make it this evening? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very
Yep,
much.
thank you. And I know we have a couple representatives. I wanted to say thank you very much to Southern Air and everyone who worked with Southern Air. So I'll ask everybody with Southern Air, and I believe some of our students were able to work with them. So if you'll come on up, because we're going to make sure we get the right amount of certificates for you guys, because we want to make sure we get that right. But
Two of your graduates did the job.
I know, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. And to give you a little background on why we're recognizing Southern Air and working with our maintenance group, for some of you from our Tide River area, about 10 days before the end of the school year last year, we had a water main break. And it's amazing how disruptive that could be. And these individuals, without hesitation, we called up looking for some help. And they jumped right on it and were able to get in there and really work hard with us to make those, like we had to make some temporary repairs, but then start planning on the full repairs that took place to get us through the end of the school year, let us have summer school where everything was hosted there, and then to finish it up right before the start of the school year. And that was no small feat, so we greatly appreciate the efforts that you did, and we'll make sure everybody gets one of these. So I'm going to give it to you, buddy, in the middle of it. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. I remember seeing you out there. Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. And all right, so that is for our first group. You guys are going to get real tired of listening to me. Well, probably not, because it's the students next. That's the part we love. All right, so the next recognition that we have coming up is for the 600 score with our students. And so I want to make sure that we really recognize, because things that you don't always know, we have a group of students who scored a 600, but I think it was back in 2018, some of these tests got recalibrated and transition to these computer assistive questions that make it a little bit harder. And so for these individuals to still be able to score the 600 is a really good accomplishment. And we really appreciate their hard work and their achievement on this. So the first up is, and I apologize already, I may mispronounce it, but Simone Boyson.
Congratulations.
Next up is, hey, that's exciting. We love Avery Hill. Is Avery Hill here? Is Avery Hill here? No? Yes? No, not here? Okay, well, congratulations to Avery on the 600 score. Cameron Mays. Lila Hash. Try that again. I like this. That's better. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Caroline Hatfield. I'm going to try not to cover up your face.
Good job.
Corbin Minor. Corbin Minor here? Okay, all right, well, congratulations, Corbin. Sadie Perry. Right here, and I see Mom with her camera up over there, so we'll pause. Congratulations. And I apologize already, because it's Donna Andino Juarez. So we're going to be ready?
Good
So I'm
job.
gonna do this to that lady. All right. That's what happens when you sign things, you don't always do it right. So that's my fault. My apologies on that one. All right. Jared Craig. Mr. Jared Craig. Nope, not able to make it. Okay, no problem, but congratulations to Jared. All right. Naomi Edwards. Congratulations. Ready? All right. Thank you so much. Congratulations. All right, Mason Murphy. Mason Murphy. Where'd she go? Oh, there you are. Did you get that? Yes. Okay. You were hiding behind her. I didn't say. Okay, right? Congratulations. Colton Torres. Colton Torres. Jacob Piedra. Ready? Okay, awesome. Congratulations. Hollis Bryant. and Nathan Hogan. Over here. Oh, there you go. Yeah, okay. Awesome. Congratulations. And I just appreciate the effort that goes into that. Those tests are stressful and they're hard, and it takes all year to make sure that we're ready for it. And so to put that effort in, to be able to get that 600 is a great accomplishment, and we appreciate the effort on that. A great deal. All right, and last but not least, we have this theme called One Nelson, and it's my strong, fervent belief that it takes everybody within the community to make for successful students and schools and staff. And so last week, at the very end of the week, I put out a nomination form for the One Nelson Awards, and to celebrate those individuals, whether students, classified staff, certified staff, or community members that are embodying that spirit and that work ethic and trying to make everything One Nelson. And almost immediately upon setting that out, we started getting nominations in. And that was, to me, that was kind of very heartwarming, because others were seeing the value in being able to recognize some people. And so we still continue to get those. We're recognizing four individuals every month. But people who were nominated and maybe not win this month will still be eligible to win as we move forward, because this was a tough decision to make for a committee, because there were a lot of great nominations and a lot of thought to it. But sometimes when you can only get 4 people, that's the unfortunate part. So I would just say, stay tuned. We also are going to notify those who are nominated, so they understand that someone thinks that highly of them, because let's face it, everybody, sometimes it's nice to know that what you're doing is noticed and appreciated. And in a world that we're in today, sometimes that always doesn't get said and it doesn't get shown. And so we're going to work really hard to be able to do that. So the first up for this, and what you win, other than just global love and adoration, is this mug that has the One Nelson sign on it. Okay. We'll also, again, post pictures on our Facebook page to be able to celebrate this. Yep. All right, our first individual is our community member. And for those of you at the elementary schools on Monday, you noticed that particularly for the 2nd and 3rd graders, that you had a lesson on 911 on the date 9/11, where we also learned about how to use it, what is it for, but also to celebrate our first responders. Well, that idea was brought to us by a community member, and I want to read to you what the nomination says. And this is for Vanessa Poe, so please come on up here. So Vanessa works in the Nelson County 911 dispatch. In an effort to support the education of our Nelson County students about 911 and how to use it appropriately to promote safety, she initiated a conversation with Dr. Hester about doing a lesson with 2nd and 3rd grade students. She had researched a lesson that was age appropriate and accurate, as well as the curriculum that it was associated with for those grades. From the discussion, Ms. Poe and Nelson County Emergency Services collaborated with the Rockfish River Elementary School and Tye River Elementary School administrators to develop an opportunity to incorporate this lesson with students. From this effort, an event was established to promote the education of 911 and celebrate first responders from all throughout Nelson County. The students had a wonderful opportunity to become familiar with those individuals who respond to those very 911 calls that they just learned about, and also to learn about what each of those groups do. NCPS appreciates our first responders and how they support our students, staff, families, and community. We appreciate Vanessa Poe and Nelson County Emergency Services for their willingness to be directly involved with our students and provide a lesson. We recognize the One Nelson spirit in action. So congratulations. All right, did you get your mug? Don't forget your mug. Hugely valuable.
Thank
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, next up for recognition of our certified staff is Mr. Philip Kirshner here. No? Yes. All right, so Mr. Kirschner serves more than one school, Nelson Middle School and Nelson High School, for grades 6 through 12 and chorus. As a Nelson County employee for the past 12 years, serving in multiple capacities, he truly exemplifies the one Nelson character we appreciate and admire. So those of you who have not seen the productions and the efforts of Mr. Kirschner and his students, of course, it is something to behold. What do we have coming up soon?
Adams Family, several of those 600.
There you go. 600 winners?
students are here tonight.
Awesome. So when is that?
It is November 2nd and 3rd.
November 2nd and 3rd, so you heard it here. All right, so congratulations, Mr. Kirschner and But I kept it wrapped up.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
All right. Aunt Pat, where are you? So in recognition of our classified staff, we wanted to be able to, we want to make sure that everybody understands there's a place and an importance for each of our staff members and our students in our community. So this is Patty Morcom, and she works at Tye River Elementary School as an instructional assistant. So Patty is the heart and soul of Tye River. She goes above and beyond to make everyone feel like part of a Tye River family. Hardworking, spirited, and loving, her enthusiasm is contagious. The staff and students adore her and are incredibly blessed to work with and know Aunt Pat, a perfect candidate for this award. So congratulations, Patty.
Wait a minute. I don't look good. Representing Tye River.
I'm bringing that picture down.
Thank you, Dr. Esther. I
Wait,
appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Congrats, Aunt Beth.
And last but certainly not least is our student representative, and a name of distinction because it was the first nomination we had received this year. So, and it came like bam, like that. So it was the first one that came in, and this is Mr. Irving Martinez Reyes. All right, so Irving willingly assists his teacher to communicate or translate large amounts of important material, such as safety procedures, to his 2 Hispanic students. He also translates other information on a regular basis for his teacher. His maturity and willingness to help is admirable, and he shows the true One Nelson spirit. So I appreciate that because that is a true asset to be able to have working with our students, to be able to have everybody feel like they're a part of it. So I appreciate that very much. We're going to hold this up and we're going to look at that nice lady and this one.
Well done.
Oh, wait, no, there you go. All right, so thank you. And that concludes our One Nelson Award. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
So, just really quickly, on behalf of the board, kids that scored over 600, I hope you recognize what an accomplishment that is. You are a part of a really small group of people that have ever achieved that designation. And so, on behalf of the board, we say congratulations to you and well done. To all the staff that we recognize tonight, thank you for the work that you do. We see it. The schools look phenomenal getting back to school. So, it's an opportunity for us to say thank you back to you all. And our One Nelson winners. You guys are the first one, so you'll go down in the history book. Congratulations for all you all do, and thank you for what you do for our county. So, you don't have, so as much as I know you want to stay for the rest of our meeting, at this point, a lot of times we see people who are recognized leave. So you're welcome to stay, but if you'd like to leave, please feel free to. But thank you all, safe travels back home, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Y'all better stay in your lane down there.
So we're gonna get, so, I'll tell you.
Thank you, sweetie. I apologize.
Oh, yeah, exactly, that happens a lot.
So when you say do you spell your first name right after you say it? Yes. I do that with my last name. Like, it's an automatic.
We good to go back and get started. Thank you guys for sitting through that. We're down to the comments from board members now, so we're a small but mighty board tonight, so this shouldn't take too long, hopefully. Mr. Chief, we're gonna start with you.
Okay, so I was not able to be present at the last meeting, so I want to be late and say welcome back to school, everybody. It sounds like we've had a great beginning to the school year, and so very impressed with the 600 SOL scores, how many students we had out of our population doing that. That is a very select group of people and quite an accomplishment. And again, I'm so glad we're recognizing our custodial staff, our maintenance staff, because it is unsung work that they do. The custodians are the reason the schools look as bright and shining as they do and are as clean as they are. And we've got the best looking schools around, in my opinion. And then again to Southern Air, we can't say enough good things about all the work that they did to help us out of that spot. So they made a transition for something that was a major repair seem very, very simple, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Chief. Mr. Perkins?
We'd like to thank everyone for coming and all the students that scored 600. And just to say we appreciate everything that all our employees do from the top to the bottom. You know, we try to do our best for each and every one of y'all, and we appreciate the support y'all give us, and we hope we can continue to move forward as one Nelson.
Well said, well said. So we've had a couple fun things happening here lately. I was able to attend the elementary school dances. You guys, it was incredible participation. Ty River, Rockfish. You know, we talk about One Nelson, the community, and creating this kind of energy and synergy, and it really starts at those elementary schools. And if you look at the involvement from those dances and our community volunteers and parent-teacher groups that pull that together, it was really cool. It was really cool and really fun. Sports teams are doing great. We've started the year off with a bang. We got a lot of good things going on with their sports teams right now, and so we know that we've got involvement, as Mr. Perkins said, you know, the involvement in the community and the positive snowball that I feel like we've got going, we just keep moving forward. And so each and every one of you are part of that, and we thank you, and we appreciate it. And I hope you know how appreciated you are. We're looking forward to your play coming up, your musical coming up. So that's it for board comments, I think. Important dates. So, and Dr. Hester can add in on this. We've got homecoming week next week, so lots of fun things happening at all the schools next week. Participate, send lots of pictures in to us for that. And then just a reminder, in today's day, October is Kindness Month. Let's take that to heart. Let's live it every day. And then we've got some parent-teacher conference days, but you can see those on the board there. Anything to add, Dr. Hester? Anything the board needs to add for days? So Dr. Hester, where do you and your comments?
All right. So just like you saw this evening, how we not only recognize the One Nelson, we try to also keep in mind, I don't know if you guys noticed, there's like this big calendar with like National Appreciation Days. And so we, you know, at the beginning of the summer, we created this every month. Like there's something in every month that we're going to try to make sure that we get dues in. So October 2nd is National Custodian Day. Bus drivers are always fun because there's like 4 dates and no one really knows which one it is, and so we end up trying to do all of them. but National, I believe Bus Safety Week is coming up in October. And then there's a couple other, like bus driver days or school driver days, and there's a lot of other things. A lot of times we have administrative assistant days that we try to celebrate. So we're gonna also try to infuse that as we go through meetings, and then also just through our social media pages and trying to kind of shout out, because I think, you know, the one thing I've also learned is in each one of our positions, and I said it before, each one is integral in how we are able to function. You know, none of us can do anything if our kids aren't here. But how do we make sure our kids are here? We have our bus drivers. How do we make our kids stay here? We make sure we have our cafeteria workers, our custodians, and then our front office workers. Those are the front line workers that every parent usually knows the name of the people answering the phones at each of the schools. And our instructional aides, our nurses, our teachers, our administrators, everybody plays an integral role. So we're trying to kind of keep track of all those national celebration days to make sure that we do that. So what's coming up or what's been going on? Appreciated the Labor Day. I don't know about you guys, but that came at a really good time. So everybody was kind of able to catch their breath. So it was a nice long weekend filled with some community events. I don't know who were able to go to the rodeo or go to a few other things in the community. This time of year here in Nelson County is quite a wonderful time in terms of a lot of the community events that are taking place. So we're really looking forward to be able to support those as well. We recognize we started the One Nelson Awards, as I mentioned, really pleased with the initial outpouring and nominations. So I appreciate others being able to recognize each other, especially anytime you have peer recognition. That's always probably more meaningful than maybe something else. And so we greatly appreciate that. Family community engagement with our schools is a big emphasis for Nelson County Public Schools this year. And so I appreciate how our administrators and our staff and our community have embraced this. I'll show you a few more pictures if you stay around long enough for the Pathways to Success. But both of our elementary dances, as Ms. Powell mentioned, we had the glow dance at Rockfish and the carnival dance at Ty River. And then that following morning, they had Grand Friends Day, really wanting to support grandparents because National Grandparents Day was celebrated on Sunday, September 10th. And really recognizing, particularly in Nelson, but everywhere, the strong role that grandparents play in the lives of our students, and so we really recognize that. And there was a great turnout for that. They had 2 shifts for it because there was no way that you would have been able to accommodate all those grandparents in just one shift in one place. And there were a lot of kind of cool things. And for grandparents to be able to walk their grandchildren to their class, I think we may have had a couple school board members be able to participate in that activity. And it seemed like it was a good time. I'm just looking in that direction. It's okay.
I'm not old enough. Let's just clarify.
Yeah, okay. And then as we mentioned, to honor 9/11, being able to have Ms. Poe bring in those lessons on what 911 is on 9/11 was pretty cool. But there was a lot of features. You know, we had 2 helicopters come in, one from the Virginia Police and one from the PHI back, and it was really cool. And the kids, I think, enjoyed talking to our VDOT workers, our county workers, our the Navy. The Navy I think was there. The military, and all of our first responders in many different branches, and local law enforcement was there. So it was really great because those are the people who show up when you need them. And I felt like that was a really great way to understand, like, these are familiar faces, they're friendly faces, they're there to help. And it supports our community. So start with a Hello Week. We'll begin at Nelson Middle School. It's kind of that spark that then transitions into October, which is Kindness Month. Like we said, October 2nd is National Custodian Day. And I did mention School Safety Bus Week, yep. And like I said, October Kindness, so you'll get some Facebook posts and things like that encouraging all acts of kindness and really trying to support that aspect of citizenship.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Esther. So it's exciting. We've got our students back, student representatives. So if you don't mind, just because we're at the start of New Year, if you would each introduce yourselves and then give us your report.
Hi everybody, my name is Matthew Shannon. I'm in the 11th grade.
And I'm Kiki Harris, and I'm in the 12th grade.
We've had a pretty exciting year so far. I'd like to mention our sports teams. We've all been doing super well. A lot of our juniors and seniors keep up those teams. We have been winning football games, cross-country meets, volleyball games, and overall we've just been doing really well. We've all been working together, putting in a lot of work.
And like I mentioned earlier, we have homecoming next week, next Friday. It's very exciting.
We've planned some Spirit Week themes, and we're also decorating some halls for different decades. Each grade gets a decade, so we're just really showing spirit this year, so it's very exciting.
On the winning teams note, we have agriculture teams on FFA, and they go to state fairs, they compete, and they do really well, and they make Nelson look really good.
Thank you, guys.
And to give you a little background on student school board representatives, it is a wonderful way to be able to promote like student leadership, but also student voice within what takes place. So these individuals have an ability to kind of voice a lot of what their peers and the other students are able to kind of pass along. In addition to, I will be meeting, I haven't gotten a chance this year, but I typically meet with these individuals. I also meet with the student advisory, and then I try to bring the two of them together to be able to represent each other. So there's an opportunity to have that leadership and student voice in everything that we do. And we always encourage to say, give us the good, the bad, the ugly. Because we grow and we learn and we can best serve our students when we know exactly what's going on. So I appreciate you guys being here, because these two are usually also the ones involved heavily in a lot of the other school events. So a Thursday evening to be able to take some time out, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And we look forward to what you got to say this year. It is important, and it's a part of what we need to hear on a day-to-day basis. Thank you, guys. So we're to the points, comments for public. So let me just say a couple quick things. We'd always look forward to public comments for sure. When you come up to say your public comments, please come to the mic, state your name, state your address. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. I hate being rude and cutting people off. It is not personal, I promise you, but we have to hold everybody to 3 minutes. Know that as a board, we won't respond to any of those comments, but we hear you and we hear what you're saying. We just, as a policy, cannot respond to public comments in the moment. So the first person to speak is going to be Sherry Nash. If you can come to the front, state your name, state your address, and then you've got 3 minutes, okay?
My name is Sherry Nash. I live at 55 Nash Haven Cove, Schuyler, Virginia. Good evening, everybody. I'm a driver. I'm a trainer for the bus drivers, and I'm also the DMV representative that does the range and the road test. I'm standing here before you on behalf of all the Nelson County school bus drivers, which we have a good handful of them here tonight. We feel there is some insight needed for everyone to know exactly why we feel a raise is far past due. Our neighboring county, Buckingham, whose demographics are very close to ours, were granted a $100 a day pay raise this week by the school board. It was unanimous with them. If we were to do this, it would give all the drivers equally a very well-deserved raise. The average driver's yearly salary right now is $17,500. Let's break that down to monthly. It's about $1,450 a month. Now, you deduct insurance for the family, you're only at right about $1,000. We haven't even talked about taxes coming out each month. That leaves each driver making approximately $700 a month they're bringing home. So with that being said, that might pay one bill, some groceries, but that's all it's doing. $100 a day would make a humongous difference for everybody. When we drive a bus, we deal with many challenges that not everybody has. I'm gonna use my bus, the numbers on my bus as an example. On any given day with my bus run, to or from school, I drive at least double what any classroom in the school system has. And that's all well and good. I love my kids, I love my job. But let's put it in perspective. In a classroom, 2 11th grade children, but they get in a fight. 2 boys, 2 girls, it doesn't matter. They get in a fight. We have staff in those schools that come and help support. Now let that happen on a school bus. There's nobody around. There's nobody to help you. And to think it doesn't happen is very naive, because anybody in any county will tell you this happens. It truly, truly does. And we can say, oh, they'll get kicked off the bus. I know for fact, just in the last few weeks of this school year, parents say, or they only have 1 vehicle per family. So the parents can't come get those kids. So what's happened in the school where they're in ISS or in the principal's office, they are put on our school buses to go home. It could reignite. I'm going 55 miles an hour with 47 kids down Route 29. I got 3 and up ages. So I don't know what to say, but we really deserve a raise, and it really needs to be done. And the mugs and everything's great, But I'm be honest, that doesn't put food on our table or pay our bills. So I hope this helps with at least looking at a raise for our county.
Brandy Hale.
Hi, I'm Brandy Hale. I live at 181 Village Road in Shipman, Virginia. And I agree with Sherry about the pay raises. We need it. As a single parent, I don't have enough to pay my bills. And it hurts that I can't, sorry, I'm emotional. I can't do the things that I want to do for my son. I can't do the fundraisers. And the help that we get from the county, like social services, it's great to have that, but they still don't help us. By the time I get my paycheck by day 3, all my bills are paid, almost, except for maybe 4 of them. And then I have to come up with grocery money because I don't get enough on social services. $115 a month does not pay your groceries. It's sad. And then the buses, like she said, with the help. We need help. Last year, I had 3 kids to a seat for all elementary, and they took up almost over half my bus. And then I had the middle schoolers and high schoolers. That's a lot to deal with, going down the road with them fighting, and not everybody wants to sit with anyone. They're arguing with you. They want their own seat. You have to explain to them over and over, you cannot have your own seat. You have to share a seat. And, well, I don't get along with this person. I don't get along with that person. And then you have to have a chart of who sits where. You have to spend hours trying to figure out who to sit with who. This year, it's great. We don't have the seating chart right now. But with COVID coming again, what's it going to look like for us? Right now, my bus is better. They've rearranged my route, so I'm not as stressed out. But during the day, in between our runs, that's our mental health time. We shouldn't have to go out and look for second jobs to support our families. Thank you.
Mr. Martin.
I'm Warren Martin. I live at 385 Martins Lane, Piney River. I've been driving a school bus ever since I was a junior in high school. Most of you all don't remember individuals owning the school buses. In Nelson County, I don't think, Shannon, you can verify this, that the school system didn't start owning the buses until the latter part of 61 and 62. But anyway, in the 61 years since I've graduated from Nelson, things have changed. Some of it is for the better, some of it's for the worse. I agree with them on the raises there. But what some of my concerns are behavior. You can't just tap a child on the shoulder and tell them not to do it no more. And another thing, too, that gets me, when I went to school and my children went to school and some of my grandchildren went to school, it was a dress code. I think you ought to go back to a dress code today. If you come up out to the high school of the evening where I started, you'll see boys walking down the sidewalk or in the middle of the buses with half of the crack showing out. Some of the girls with some of these shorts on, they're a little too short. Some of the kids on my bus, they get on fully dressed of a morning, but when they get off of the evening, it's a whole different story. And the other thing I want, I think you and I talked about this, Shannon, VRS. I'm drawing VRS from the sheriff's office. It'd be nice if I could draw VRS from the school board, because I think this makes my last year of 15 years back with the school system full time. I'm gonna try it a few more years so long as I can stay on the same route. But I'm gonna tell you something, discipline is a problem. Thank you.
Wanda Johnson.
I'm Wanda Johnson, but everybody calls me Jackie. I'm from over in the Afternoon, over on Pound and Branch Road. And I agree with all of my drivers as well as myself. We need more money. I started driving when I was in the 10th grade of school, and I was making $13 a day. $60 a day ain't much different from then. The stuff that we go through with the kids, I've got good kids, but you got, like she said, you got to watch who you set them with, because some of them don't get along with others. Then you set them with some, and then you got parents coming telling you they need to move them because they don't want them sitting with this kid. And I've told them, I got but so many seats, and that's all I can do. If all my kids ride my bus in the mornings and none of the parents take them down to school, I'm carrying close to 70 kids on my bus. I've got one of the bigger buses, but thank goodness I got some parents that do help me out by taking their kids in. But the kids that get on the bus, they want to fight, then you got to discipline them. You take and send it in, they do what they can do, they're back on the bus because parents can't take them to school. They got one car, so you're going to have to carry them. I had one on there today. She's been kicked off the bus, but they had to put her on the bus because they don't have nobody to pick her up and take her home. So I'm all for the extra money, and I'm all for some help with the buses. Putting aid on her doesn't do no good. I had an aid one time, and I told them to take her off. She was more trouble than being with the kids. But I do have good kids. Thank goodness for that.
Thank you all for your comments. We appreciate it. So we're down to the consent agenda. Are there any questions about any of the material on the consent agenda? No, we're good. All right, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as a whole?
Move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, consent agenda is approved as it's written. So, just to tell you all, you're welcome to leave. You're welcome to stay through the rest of the meeting. I know you were here to just do the public comment, but please don't feel like you have to stay. We'd love to have you, but if you don't want to stay, you're welcome to. I'm just saving you from Dr. Hester's presentation. But I mean, please stay. All righty. We've got the first reading of the meeting minutes and our items for information. If you have any changes, corrections, please touch base with Ms. Ponton about that. So Shannon, you're going to give us an update on our activity fund audit.
It is incumbent upon us to make sure that we're good stewards of the monies that have been entrusted with us by either the community or by the charges for athletic games or clubs that raise monies for fundraisers. So each year we have an auditor come in from Davidson, Doyle, and Hilton, certified public accountants out of Lynchburg. They come in and look at the books of all of our schools. So they came in July and did reviews of the 4 schools, and their comments are on the management letter on page 13 of the audit report. And I guess I'm proud to say that there were no system-wide recommendations, meaning that the internal controls that we have in place are adequate and deemed efficient for running a school system. So kudos for the school board for implementing the internal controls that we have. Tye River Elementary School had no management letter recommendations at all, so kudos to the staff there. And then the other schools, they really didn't have recommendations except for the types of accounts that our monies were invested in. There was a time that savings accounts were paying 0.01% interest, and one account was as good as another. There are some different accounts that are available now. Some of them are not local. They are internet-based, or and they pay about 3% or 4% for savings accounts. So they did recommend that we explore that to possibly get a bigger return on the monies that we do have invested. The other is the fees that the bank charges. They recommended that we take a look at those to see if there were some other types of accounts that we could have that had less fees to be charged. And then at one school, there was a review of a check that the bookkeeper paid sales tax. And sometimes when you work with small businesses, they don't like to remove the sales tax. Though we are tax exempt, that is something that we have to pay close attention to. But other than that, it was a really good audit, and kudos to our bookkeepers because they handled over $1 million worth of transactions last year. And to have those few comments, I think that's a job well done.
You getting everybody trained up, Shannon?
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's good to know. Any questions for Shannon from the board? Well done. And if you can share that with the team, that's incredible.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Campbell, how are you? Good. You gonna come give us an update?
Yes, I'm going to give you guys an update on where we stand in some of our projects and upcoming projects. So, roof project, I'll start with that. I spoke to the project manager last Thursday, and we're still about 6 weeks out from finishing up the current phase we're in. Then they will transition to the next phase, which is the front side of the building. They're going to do a little something different there. When this current phase, they based everything in with the base layer, and then went back and put the second layer on. What they're going to do, they're going to complete each section with the next phase. It looks to be about 7 to 8 sections there, and it's going to take about, instead of a week and a half to complete each one of these phases. So that's just a restoration. That's not a complete tear off like what we're in now. So looks like and depending on the weather, we're still projected for November, but if we take a cold snap, we have a cold snap between the completion date, they'll have to pull off and come back once the weather cooperates so that the glue and all can be applied. High school renovation. I will be meeting with Mosley and Craig Kotarski from Timmons Group on Monday. We're going to be looking at the front road going in front of the middle school where we're having issues there, and then the undermined storm drain. Trying to come up with a plan to incorporate it into the renovation to try to resolve those issues. I've met with the engineer from Mosley. We're looking at a bunch of equipment that could possibly be changed out. You know, we have some equipment, sadly enough, is 1998 over top of the gyms and all. I've included an example in the notes here to show you what kind of supply chain issues we are facing right now, and that's why it's important to identify those units early in the process. The example was we ordered a chiller back the first part of January. We've been given the last delivery date is now March of 2024. That was the third date we've been given for that to come in. So we're trying to identify as many pieces of equipment that we can change out and start getting those things in the process and getting ordered so we don't run into an extended period on our renovation. I also want to talk a little bit about we've got 2 elevators that we're having issues with. Rockfish elevator, that was installed. When that was installed, it was a company called US Ascend, and the way that elevator works, it counts the cart cycles. So up, down, it'd be one cycle. What happens is that elevator only does so many cycles, and then it requires service. It'll stop working. What we're running into is, so TK, to give you a little backstory about that elevator, TK purchased, who we have a current contract with all of our elevator service through. TK Elevator purchased this company in the early part of 2000s. And they, this elevator, they have actually have told me should not have gone in the type of setting it was in because it does have the cart cycle countdown on it. So of course, I told him, I said, I need some budget figures. I can't just come to you guys and say, hey, I need this money, So I did get an updated budget figure from those guys yesterday, and that budget replacement figure is $110,000. While we're discussing elevators, the high school elevator was installed in 1981, 82 period, and we replaced the motor on that elevator a couple years ago, and the problem is the electronics, the boards. I've been advised that they're hard to get and almost impossible to get anymore. Shannon and I discussed possibly if we could find some room in the renovation budget to get that changed out while we're in that process. The updated budget figure for that yesterday was given to me was $115,000. And finally, I want to talk a little bit about we have some HVAC issues at Rockfish. We've had some compressors that have gone bad in two of the main units, large units. We've been struggling now a couple months with one. It's running about essentially half capacity. Which is causing us to have to run the units longer to try to make up for during the day where we lose ground on the temperature. So I do have an update for some of those. One of them is an RTU unit, and the other one is GTU, which means rooftop unit or ground unit. The ground unit at Rockfish, which serves the back hall, upstairs and downstairs, actually everything is in and will be replaced tomorrow. So we'll get that back up and running. I am still waiting on an ETA for the rooftop unit. That's going to require a little bit more work because we got to have a crane to set the compressors and all. Once they come in, I've requested those to be installed during off hours, school hours. So we don't have any students or staff going in the back parking lot with the crane setting everything. So, yep, that's all I have right now. If you guys got any questions?
God bless you, sir.
For now.
So the Tye River elevator, does it share any of the problems?
No, Tye River, it's we've had a few issues with it, but no, it does not share those problems. Rockfish is unique because of the counting system on the cart cycle. I do have I've released a PO to get at least to get the phone installed in the high school elevator. But if you remember, probably it's been a couple years back, the motor went bad and smoked up the school, and we had to shut it down for a couple of days. Yeah, they were able to find the motor then, but the board, the circuit boards are almost impossible to find anymore. So,
Thank you.
thank you. All right.
Thank you, Les.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mrs. Reed, would you come on up and tell us a little bit about Maxim Healthcare?
Hi, I'm Rachel.
Oh, this is
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
As I was walking. Thank you. Thank you, Tammy. All right, well, what I'd like to do is propose that we enter into a contract with Maxim Healthcare Staffing Services for a behavior specialist for this school year, the 2023-2024 school year. What I'd like to share with you, these are the numbers of our caseload for our current and only behavior specialist. Ms. Best currently has 34 students on her caseload, but that certainly is not the full amount of students that she sees, and certainly these numbers that I'm presenting today could change tomorrow based on her student need. I'd like to highlight that the consulting with TDT column, because what Ms. Best does to support students regardless of whether or not they're on her caseload is our students who have TDT, they, if they don't receive services over the summer, the TDT services go away, and parents have to go through an intake again the upcoming school year. And so what we're faced with is challenges reaching those parents, pulling them into either Madeline Center for an intake appointment in Lynchburg, or doing a virtual intake process. But we don't want to delay supporting those students, because as we know, if our students aren't emotionally regulated, then they're not able to really access the curriculum and learn what we want them to learn. So this is just an overall view of what Ms. Best currently experiences or currently supports. To give a description of the day-to-day role of our behavioral support needs in Nelson, we're providing individual and small group counseling sessions, and Ms. Best is also available at moment's notice for students who are struggling either emotionally or behaviorally, which can involve traveling to any 4 of our schools. What happens when that's the case is the students who are typically scheduled to see Ms. Best to have her supports at that time end up not seeing her. Of course, she makes them up and does what she can, but we want to also be able to support our students as regularly as possible. I'd also like to highlight that students who are on Ms. Best's caseload, they go to see her in addition to the times that she has counseling needs scheduled with them. And that can vary dependent upon what is going on in their life. How are they coping with whatever challenges they are facing? It could be multiple times a day, and she's readily available for them. Also, in addition to the direct support with students, she is helping IEP teams for our students who have disabilities with ideas and strategies, as well as conducting behavior assessments and behavior intervention plans, observing students in classrooms, and administering behavioral and emotional screenings. So what our vision is really not only to help more students, but to help more students better, to help them more frequently, and to just have an additional set of hands for those students so we can help our students who are struggling emotionally and behaviorally. So some history on Maxim. It's been around since 1988. It was first conceived as a company to support the nursing shortage crisis that was occurring. What it did at that point in time is it brought registered nurses to school divisions who needed them as school nurses. And since then, really quite close to when it began, it's been supporting both healthcare and educational needs. So as you can see, it has a variety of staffing positions that it helps to fill in the school systems. They're a national company, so they have 70 offices nationwide and more than 6,500 clients nationwide. And that includes, as you can see, not just educational entities, but also government agencies and departments. So narrowing the scope down just to education, nationally they serve over 1,038 school divisions or institutions. Listed, you can see that there are 16 school divisions in Virginia that have contracted with Maxim, and they've provided supports such as psychologists, special education teachers, speech language pathologists, also nurses, school counselor, and mental health social worker. So what they do is the company has a pool of specialized behavioral and mental health providers, and they get from the school division seeking their input, they get what we're looking for. Then they utilize their recruiting staff to narrow the scope down. But they don't just say, here you go, here's the staff member we're giving you. They allow us then to vet them ourselves to work on who we believe would also be the best fit for Nelson County. So their turnover rate, they report, is about 18%. And so that means that the majority of the time that they secure an in-person staff member to go and support a school division, the employees stay throughout the contract, and there's not dissatisfaction on the end of the school division or on the end of the employee. And additionally, they work to make sure that those staff members are aware of laws that guide us in behavioral health and in special education, such as IDEA, HIPAA, and FERPA. So I did seek 3 school divisions. I have 2 up here. All 3 school divisions were satisfied with Maxim Healthcare Staffing Services, which was relieving to hear as well, because they can advertise it on paper, but to hear from school divisions, and it was a quick turnaround too. Like they were responding to me in less than 24 hours. So what this contract would be, it would be established from whenever we secured a desired staff member through the end of this school year. We would be using the CARES grant, those funds, which we've secured in the past, and those grant funds are going away soon because the COVID relief funds are going away soon. The daily rate, they gave me a range because it will depend upon the individual's certifications. When Shannon did the calculation at about $65 was the first ballpark figure they gave us, it was about what we would project to pay for a staff member, salary and benefits. So let's see, I think that is about it. Do you have any questions?
And I'll just
Yes.
add that, I think even when you hear, even some of the things the bus drivers hear, with some of these mental health issues come coupled with behavioral issues at times. Not always, not every behavioral issue is tied to that, but we're seeing more and more need for the mental health supports because of other things going on in our community. So this is something in order to keep our kids in our buildings, but to be able to keep them in our classrooms and to be able to support our teachers being able to educate and be able to get them to support the student achievement piece, but also the mental health piece. Because if you don't have one, you're not going to get the other. And I think that's, we're going to see this need grow. And we want to be able to use this year to be able to take the data and understand the impact that it's having and be able to take some of the burden off of Ms. Best, but also to recognize, it's hard to be in 4 places at once. And when these things happen, rarely is it, compartmentalized, like one school needs just one thing and then everything else is fine. There's always something going on. And so it's a need. It's a very important need to be able to support our students and our staff in the community.
So having said that, what's the plan for integration? Is it as if we have a second behavioral specialist, or is it they work in conjunction with Ms. Best and maybe follow up, not primary, but a follow up?
Right. So Ms. Best and I have actually brainstormed that together. Certainly the final decision with that will be if we A, secure someone, and B, what their strengths and qualities are, because we want to pair the need with the strengths. But Ms. Best has, in her groups at the high school and middle school, she's established those bonds with those students to help them feel safe with her, which is half the battle, and then supporting someone who is struggling with mental health. So we had spoken about the fact that, the elementary schools also have a great need. There we've got students who are learning school. They're learning what school behavior is, how do I act, just so there's a different.
They're learning how they're going to respond to that crisis.
Exactly.
They're creating.
Exactly. So we had spoken about maybe dividing it secondary and elementary, and that way we would be able to at least have Crystal focus on 50%, the other one focus on 50%, and then of course spot with each other when needed.
So going in knowing that might be the thought, then you would be very targeted in looking for someone whose skill set would be elementary kids or
Correct. Yes.
I think it's a great idea. It's a growing concern across the country with the mental health. It's not getting any better. It seems like we have to provide services for a lot of folks.
So I've heard someone mention a lot, so we're looking for one individual?
Yes.
Is that what we're doing? Okay.
One in person, I should clarify.
Okay.
and one in-person
So
individual.
in person, they would be on campus or
Correct.
all the time?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that was one of the things when we were reviewing proposals. I'm not a fan of virtual to support mental health needs in
I
a
agree.
school building, so.
Nor am I a fan of somebody having to respond within a 2-hour window.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's essentially a full-time contract person paid through the
Paid
CARES
through,
money?
yes. Well, paid through, they would be paid by Max and we would be getting Maximum fee. Mhm. And-
Okay, right, so our cost is gonna be the 62 to 70 times
However many
a
hours.
full-time position,
Mhm.
basically. Okay, so that answers the other question, what the cap was on.
Mhm.
Okay.
And we have the right, if we find somebody, we think they're the perfect person, they get in play, they're perhaps not the best fit, we can opt back out
Yes.
to find some, okay.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
To
that's,
provide that relief, because you can't find those people, you just can't.
Well, and that company actually has people who, that's what they like to do. They like to travel. They like to go from place to place. They're happy to try out new divisions. And so, it's a little bit, I feel like it might help us find someone as opposed to the traditional ways of, just posting and hoping someone takes a bite. I think we're finding that more and more.
Well, this is definitely an area that I think, if we're looking to add staff long-term, I mean, I would like to see us find somebody that's more
Absolutely.
permanent.
Absolutely.
Because with a traveling person, I would worry that they're here this year and establish relationships and then they're gone after that. And
Absolutely.
trust is really important.
and, for you all to have some help, and then all of a sudden, just somebody just said, I'm out, and then everything falls back on you and
Right.
Crystal again, and that, each of you all have things you're responsible for, but she's the one that's
On the ground.
Yeah,
in the trenches. Yeah.
So it's a lot.
Absolutely. So the great thing about having a company is if, say, that person doesn't work out, we don't like them, they don't like it, they have more resources, more human resources, I should clarify, to actually find another person. So, yeah.
And their fill rate for behavioral specialists has been good. I mean, they have a lot
They
of
have a
other
lot.
things they do, right?
Yes.
But we're having a challenge finding behavioral specialists. They have a fairly
That's
large pool to.
Because
pull
they're a
from.
huge a nationwide
Okay.
network. Yes.
Any other questions? Are we good? We'll have ask questions then, because we'll have some activity to do on that later.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, Dr. Hester.
Right, Kim, you're allowed to sit down, you know that, right? Okay, I'm just saying. You came at the right time. And Mr. Blakeup. All right, so time for the Pathways to Success. So starting right off the bat, Ms. Irvin has been working quite a bit on, you transition out of the summer and finalizing all of our financial aspects, like analyzing the finalized budget from the General Assembly, which was just released. So kind of going through and figuring out what do we do with these funds and how do we appropriately apply them in the best manner. Also wrapping up grants that end on September 30th. So, as Ms. Reudinger mentioned, ESSER 3 will come to a close next year. There's been a series of ESSER grants that have come through. So, each one kind of has its own cycle and expires. Finalizing accruals for the 22-23 school year and working through the annual school report, which takes a great deal of time and effort. And I appreciate Ms. Irvin's efforts on that because that's not easy, especially when you have someone like me constantly coming in and interrupting and asking questions and trying to get some clarification on that. So I appreciate that. And really appreciate being very creative and thoughtful. We're trying to expand all of our aspects of wellness and trying to apply it to our staff and our students, and how do we find creative ways of doing that. So I was able to get with Ms. Reudinger and Ms. Cannell, because a lot of our focus has been on school nutrition, but we also want to get that mental health. But Ms. Irvin is like, we also need that financial health piece to it. And so, I think you were able to say you got some confirmation today that in November, on one of the days that we have our staff coming in, but not students, was able to kind of plan something to help support kind of the health side, but also a financial side. Am I correct, or am I? Yes, that's what I thought. I thought I was correct on that. So I was really appreciating that's pretty thoughtful, and there is that aspect of the financial health piece. We've put out several RFPs. Mr. Campbell was talking about, you know, our finishing up our roof project, but also transitioning into, you know, negotiating and working with Mosley for RFP for the high school renovation project. So a lot of these things are taking place because, as he stated, we have a lot of needs due to age and just life expectancy of some of these units. So a lot of is going on. One of the RFPs was also for the behavioral specialist. So I appreciate being able to keep all those organized and staying on top of it. All the while still doing the day-to-day activities like background checks. It's the beginning of the school year. We have people wanting to be more involved with our schools and volunteering. We also have individuals who are applying for positions, substitutes, otherwise, and so doing those background checks for volunteers and whatnot certainly takes some time. Also was working with staff to set up stipend recommendations, approve purchase orders, and finalize activity fund audit for all 4 schools, and approving the fundraising activities. So this is also, I just sat at a boosters meeting where they're trying to think about ways of fundraising. Each of our sports are trying to find ways. FFA does a fantastic job. All of our clubs and activities really work hard to try to find alternative funding sources for the things that they want to be able to do. Instruction, beginning of the school year, kicked in. We've got through several weeks of school and being able to go from school to school and see really this is what we wait to happen all summer long, is we wait to get our students back because that's where the fun takes place. You know, for us up here or anywhere else, anytime if we're having a bad day, the best thing for us to do is get into a classroom and we get to kind of recenter and understand what we're doing and be able to get back to it. And that also exposes us to the experiences in the classroom for both the students and the teachers and what they're experiencing. Also went through NCPS leadership professional development. And it took place in here, being able to work through certain programs that we work with, like VTSS, also through VASCD, long acronyms, basically those Virginia-centered instructional curriculum design organizations that help support us. Also had collaborative meetings with Cumberland and Appomattox to be able to review science and math with other teachers, so that's good, that common talk and that common speak with the people who are in the classrooms teaching it. Also completing grant cycles for the end of September, we mentioned that with Ms. Irvin, and testing with our division department director of testing. So we have those meetings going on. There is a new test that will be rolling out this year with the integrated reading and writing that will take place in a couple of our grades. So that takes some time to be able to understand what that is and how that will take place. Also engaging in instruction. I do have a video set there. I'm not going to make you watch it, but if you go on our Facebook page, the middle picture right here, if you have a chance to go watch it, this guy right here will make you smile. But the video in and of itself will make you smile because it's a teacher who brings to life math and makes it fun and enjoyable. And when these kids can get a song stuck in their head about math and really kind of get that physical engagement with it, they're going to remember that. It's going to make a difference. And it was just really great to be able to experience that. This will be posted on our website. You'll be able to get to it. But I highly encourage you to be able to watch that. Pupil personnel, with our SPED and our student services, we've received commendations from the VDOE by just demonstrating expectations of and implementing collaborative practices. Not always easy to get 2 teachers in there and being able to collaborate appropriately and impactfully, and so we got commendations on that. Also, high school students who are working toward a standard or advanced studies diploma are included in these general education classes, which is important to be able to have that inclusion and being able to push all of our students forward. First Special Education Advisory Committee meeting was held August 6th, and that's a way to bring our staff and family and community in to be able to have those conversations about how this is taking place and how we can best support our students. And we were able to implement the last meeting. Ms. Reudinger had a great presentation on Care Solace, which serves as an extra layer to all the things that things like Ms. Vest do, Ms. Reudinger do, and all of our teachers when it comes to the mental health supports. We have been able to have some training for our administrators this past week, and for some mental health professionals that will be coming up, was that tomorrow, I believe. And we've already, I think the second we signed up to do this, we immediately had referrals for a couple of our students, and we've since had 2 warm referrals or send-offs that we were able to do. And that's important because the access in this area to those mental health resources is very difficult, and these are the individuals that can make the 50 to 60 phone calls in order to get that appointment and that access point. So I appreciate the hard work on that. Oh, it's the water bottle. Human resources. Okay, communications. So communications, sorry, I can't help that. Exploring I Teach which is working with an organization that be able to help support trying to creatively bring on staff and licensing and things of that nature. It just doesn't do away, a lot of people, are we thinking creatively about how to bring teachers into our career and alternatively license? Sure we are, but we don't always have control over all of that, and so we're trying to work with organizations that can also assist with that. So Ms. Choate and her department's been working to find those alternative teaching certification programs that allows teachers with bachelor's degrees to complete coursework in a more self-paced environment. So it's again trying to think, how do we continue to support and sustain our staff with a high-quality workforce, but we've got to think a little bit beyond what we've been used to. It's not 6-7 years ago where you have tons of applicants for each opening. It's getting harder and harder to find that, but you can find people. It's the high quality, and it's the the people who have all the right certifications and they're high quality to be able to recruit them, retain them, and sustain them. So also assisting new teaching staff with required teacher licensing steps through VDOE. It's a complicated process, a lot of turnover at VDOE. A lot of it is now online, so it takes a lot of maintenance and organization to be able to stay on top of that and work with our new teaching staff. Interviewing applicants for remaining vacancies. We still have a few, but I'm really impressed with how, if we have a vacancy come open, between our administration and Ms. Choate being able to figure out, like, hey, we have some applicants, and it's really been optimal to be able to bring those people in, and they don't waste any time at all. If they see something out there that they want to go after, they go after it, and they are really good at being able to kind of identify the individuals that make that good fit. Training building administrators for teacher evaluation system. Those are the items that we need to do every year to be able to make sure that we're providing the best services for our students, but we've got to support our staff. And so we want to educate on our evaluation system. Also held a monthly meeting with Central Virginia HR leaders, which is nice. It's that cohort of individuals that can support each other, share ideas. And what's really nice is, hey, we don't need a counselor, but I heard you do. I heard there's one over here. Or anybody else need a world language teacher? Everybody. So it's just, and then they commiserate with each other. So I think it's a great opportunity to have those cohorts of individuals be able to talk to each other, support each other, and share those ideas. Finalizing the tuition reimbursements for staff that were eligible for the 22-23 recruitment and retention grant. So I appreciate all the efforts of Ms. Choate and her department. In terms of technology, the Nelson County is it instructional technology? I don't know. He has a great name for it. They are always busy. I mean, not only doing things like live streaming tonight's board meetings, but you see Mr. Cargill and his crew everywhere. And I just appreciate the commitment that they have, not only to our schools and our students, but trying to bring a great experience for everybody. Implementing the new Promethean boards that you see kind of at the top, and that really makes for a little bit more of an engaging experience for some of our students. You see a little guy up there, or a little girl up there, trying to be able to hands-on interact with that board. Also providing some instructional technology resource through Troy Fredericks. He is able to, he's been with us for 17 years, and he's been going around doing professional development and also working with our elementary schools, Ty River and Rockfish Elementary, through STEAM, and working with the instructional coordinator, being able to do that as well as at the middle school and the high school. So I appreciate his efforts in being able to work with all of our students. We also have intercom updates. You see that middle bar right there where we're, our constant efforts for safety is being able to put those intercom bars in there in the event that something should happen. One, we have a great opportunity to show our time to make sure our students are getting everywhere on time, but the ability to communicate with it. And they did a survey to make sure that the audio levels were appropriate for what's taking place in the classrooms and in the hallways. The Hatchet novel study, not tying session that Mr. Cargill led, being able to work with students and teaching them how to tie knots. Also continued the NCIT to build a new help center and offices, where eventually the idea is to have some students helping out in a help center with the Chromebooks and the technology that we offer. So that's, again, providing some meaningful, relevant life skills and work skills for our students. I don't think our students necessarily, I think they may be helping out in some aspects, but I don't think they're solely building that, I don't believe, but I'll check on that. And also, he's around everywhere with his drone. So, we had our September 11th activities at the elementary schools. He was also there being able to video that and be able to put that together. So we appreciate that. Also, video the apple butter making fundraiser. So I appreciate all of his efforts. Maintenance, busy. They've been working on interviews with the 2 architectural firms that we were able to identify a group that we're going with Mosley. The maintenance team is busy also working in and out of the buildings all throughout the county. The last 2 quarters of the year are very busy in that we are going through all the annual fire and sprinkler inspections that take place and all throughout the division. Maintenance is prepping for the open window of the annual fire marshal inspection. So all teachers, everybody that kind of sends the kind of fear that goes through, like, oh my gosh, so that's always something that, what do I have someplace that I didn't think you just overlook it, and it is truly stressful when the fire marshal comes through. The high school chiller replacement date has now been moved, as he mentioned, to March of 2024, and he was able to provide some updates on the roofing project, which you see those individuals working up there on the right. I went to the band showcase Monday afternoon, and I was able to look up and watch the guys working hard, and I think they worked until about 5:30 or 5:45 or something like that. So they're doing the best they can to get on track. Sometimes Virginia weather does not assist them, so they took advantage of a really nice day to be able to work, and also not being able to interrupt anybody really taking place at that time. Transportation, we had a chance to hear a lot from our bus drivers this evening, but also within the division level, transportation level. Well, in order to get those kids on the bus, Mr. Ashley and his department worked really hard to kind of adapt it to an online registration, which you see on the bottom, and through the help of Ms. Lopez being able to generate it in Spanish as well to help our families. And what that did is they started posting that early, and families were able to sign up for it, which allowed them to route significantly faster to be able to talk to parents open house and have that ready for them. And that seems like that's not a big deal, but you go to open house, everybody wants to know what bus they are. If you're in the elementary level, that's scary. They want to know who their bus driver is. They want to know what bus number it is and what they need to do. And I also appreciate Mr. Ashley working with Wintergreen and being able to collaborate with them on enhancing the safety and efficiency of the Wintergreen Gate bus stop. And so you see those images there where they were really trying to kind of rework some things. But we have more students utilizing this stop this year. And we were able to identify kind of a little bit of a safer area to do that. And so I appreciate that want of the collaboration between the 2 entities. Also, at Rockfish, some of our bus drivers were able to take the time to go through bus safety training with the students and able to get them on the bus with the teachers and walk through with the expectations and different things that take place and be able to work through them. And so I just appreciate that kind of all-in, one Nelson mentality, being able to use all of our staff to be able to work and do what they can for their students. And food nutrition, Ms. Cannell received food safety training and ServSafe certifications, so we appreciate them always looking to be their best so they can be their best for our students. Also, back to school mandatory training with guest speakers covering a wide range of topics like civil rights, risk management, HR, food allergies. We have some students that, they have some, disabilities that require calorie counting or subnutrient counting, and I really appreciate the fact that getting the software that allows the food nutrition or the school nutrition cafeteria workers knowing exactly what that student's going to get, and I appreciate that. Purchasing of local produce continues to be a top priority, as you see there in the bottom left, and then our salad bars, our side salad bars are up and running, and it seems like that has been a really big hit. I think sometimes they have like the taco bar and sometimes it's a salad bar, and that has been something staff and students have both said that they really like. I really appreciate Ms. Cannell kind of thinking, how do we make sure that we communicate with our community the different ways that we support our students. They started making sure we're tracking the number of meals that we're serving. And so student breakfast meals, we've served around 8,197 from the start of school up until now. Student lunch meals, over 14,000. Adult meals have been about 163. So I want to remind you, we're on a community eligibility program, which means our students that go through the line are going to get breakfast for free and lunch for free. And that is to be able to support our students. If our students come to us hungry, they're not going to learn. And so we want to be able to do this. And then last but not least, we offer supper meals. So if we have instructional programs in the evenings, also for our after-school programs, we provide these meals. We provide these meals for athletes or, that has gone through study hall before they go practice or other activities that get instructional support. So we appreciate that. And I told you earlier that we have a big, strong emphasis on community engagement. And there's been a lot going on, particularly the last couple weeks. And I just wanted to show you some of those pictures in the upper left from the Glow Dance, across to the community tailgates that our booster clubs have been really organizing and pushing for attendance. And I've really been pleased with the community that's been participating in it and bringing individuals back out to our schools to be familiarizing and comfortable with being back and being around and enjoying themselves. It certainly helps when you win to be able to get the repeat business, but we really appreciate these people were coming whether they knew we were going to win or not, and so they have that huge investment in it, and I greatly appreciate it. The Grandparents' Day that we saw, the auditorium or the cafeteria was packed, and I appreciate wanting to bring in that section of our community and our family members. And you just get to see all the different things that were going on, particularly from the 911 day, the pictures on the bottom, to even things like the FFA pork chop dinner. Those are ways of getting all different types of individuals to come in and be a part of our community and support all of our students. And that is all I have. That is our September Pathways to Success. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
That's all you got?
That's all? I mean, shoot, I could add more. I can talk all night.
Anybody from the board got questions or comments? A lot of good stuff going on.
You know, George and I both participated in Grandparents' Day, and it was a good program. I mean,
It was nice. It was really nice.
It turned out really nice.
Yeah, it was really good.
Wasn't old enough to participate.
That's you know.
Hey, be careful what you say.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about that, and I think for next year's that the opportunity, if they're appropriately vetted, to be able to borrow grandparents for that day to share.
True. That's a good point.
Well,
Very good point.
there was a lot of
Grand
sharing
friends.
going on.
Yeah, and that I think it was very deliberate. I mean,
Yeah.
grand friends, and we saw some crossover. You know, of like that's not my biological grandparent, but that person serves as my grandparent at times, and
Sure.
so I that was really nice. I really kind of appreciated the creativity on that, and the recognition that these individuals are important to these kids and to us.
And I also noticed that, you know, for some that their grandparents couldn't make it, they were just welcomed in by other families and just made so they could enjoy the experience. So that was great to see.
That's awesome. Thank you all. A lot of work goes into all of that by a whole lot of people. Thank you, guys. So we are through the items for information section of the agenda. We are on to items for action, and we've got a fair few of those, y'all. So be prepared, because it's going to be the Caesar and George motion show. So we have field trip requests from BRVGS to DC National Theater, Cathedral, and National Museum. Do I have any questions about that? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve that field trip?
I make a motion we approve.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The BRVGS field trip request is approved. We also have a FFA field trip request to National Convention. This is the annual one that we see. Can I have a motion to approve that?
I move we approve the FFA field trip request to the FFA National Convention and Expo.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that field trip request is approved. We have a field trip request from Drama to the Richmond Convention Center. Do I have a motion to approve that field trip?
I make a motion we approve the drama field trip to Richmond Convention Center.
Second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the field trip request is approved. We have a field trip request for the NCHS Marching Band to go to a West Virginia competition. Do I have a motion to approve that field trip?
I move we approve the field trip request for the NCHS Marching Band to go to the competition in West Virginia.
Can I have a
Second.
second? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That field trip request is approved for the band to travel to West Virginia. So the next item for action we have is a religious exemption request. Are there any questions about that? Any discussion? Okay. Have a motion to approve that religious exemption request?
I make a motion we approve the religious exemption request.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the religious exemption request is approved. The next item is approval of the RFP for the behavioral specialist. Any questions or conversation on that? If not, may I have a motion to approve that?
I move we approve the RFP for a behavioral specialist.
I second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The RFP is approved for the behavioral specialist. So can I have a motion to approve, or motion to declare a textbook surplus? And if you'll see within this motion, we are going to attempt to sell those books to Southern Book Services. If they do not wish to purchase, then we would donate them to a nonprofit. So in that motion, just go ahead and ask for approval to declare the textbook surplus.
I'll make a motion that we approve the textbook surplus and, what's it, donation?
Yep, if not sold,
If
we can
not
donate.
sold.
Yeah. Okay. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That textbook surplus is declared. We also have a motion to approve to declare CPR materials surplus. Any questions about that?
No.
Any comments? Okay, can I have a motion to declare that CPR material surplus?
I move that we declare the CPR materials as surplus materials.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion is passed. Can I get an approval to declare the cafeteria table surplus?
I'll make the motion to declare the cafeteria table surplus.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion has passed. So we will need to go into closed session for personnel as well as consultation with legal counsel.
Can I have just a second before we do that?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to note the passing of Mr. Gary Hubbard.
Oh,
Yes.
Back in August, that was after our August meeting. He was a longtime director of instruction for the school system, retired from here. His wife also retired from the school system, and so did his daughter-in-law. But Mr. Hubbard was a big part of the community while he worked here, and he'll be missed.
Good acknowledgement. Thank you.
Thank you for remembering that.
Yep. So I'll need a motion for us to go into closed meeting per Virginia Code for personnel matters as well as consultation with legal counsel, please.
I move that the board go into closed session to discuss and consider the personnel report and other confidential personnel matters as authorized by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1 for purposes of discussion and consideration of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performances, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body. I also move that we go into closed session to discuss legal matters with possible conversations with counsel as authorized by Section 2.2-3711A8 of the Code of Virginia regarding a specific legal matter or matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel.
And a second.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're now in closed session.
Whistle.